Hi, I'm Cal, and I'm an applications engineer here at AGI, and today I'm going to show you using the default scenario and object feature in SDK to customize the default way that your SDK scenario loads up. So now moving into SDK, I have a brand new default scenario loaded. And let's say every time that I open up a scenario, I always prefer to just have the 3D graphics window maximized, and I like to have 2D graphics and the timeline view gone, and I'll add them if I want them. So I'm going to show you how you can configure that. I'm going to go ahead and remove my 2D graphics and my timeline view, and I'm going to configure everything the way that I would like it normally to show up just by default. And once I have it all set the way that I want it, I can go up to File and then set as Default Scenario. So once I select that, now my defaults have been saved. And if I go ahead and open up a new scenario, now I'll notice that when I've opened up a brand new scenario, everything is configured exactly the way that I left it when I set it as default. And this will work even if you shut down SDK entirely and bring it up entirely new again. This is saved at the application level. And so you can set such things as the star background that you always want to have, or maybe you always like a certain texture on your Earth. Instead of opening up SDK and doing all those things every time you create a new scenario, you can set your defaults. So think about what things you always do every time you open a scenario, and you no longer would have to add those to your workflow. Now, interestingly, this also works for objects. Now, in this case, I'll add an aircraft object, and I'll change the default model of the aircraft to the F-14. I'm a big Top Gun fan, and I always want my aircraft to come in as an F-14. So let me go ahead and create a simple aircraft route here. And then I'm going to go into my properties of my aircraft, and I'm going to change my 3D graphics model to the F-14 model. So now if I zoom in here, I can see that my aircraft is in fact this F-14 model. And I'm going to go up to File, just as I did before, and say Set as Default Aircraft. Now if I were to bring in a default aircraft, I'll go ahead and get rid of this one, and I'll bring in just a default aircraft object. Once I give it a route here, I'll zoom to it and I can see that it's an F-14 rather than the default airliner model that's normally used with SDK when you have user default settings. This is a feature that I've used personally, and every time I open a coverage definition, for example, I always turn off automatically recompute access. No longer do I have to worry about making sure to remember to do that every time, because I just reset my coverage definition default to not have that setting on. So think about all the different ways that you could use this, all the ways that you always configure your objects or your scenario. And if you have any questions, please don't hesitate to get in touch with us at support@agi.com. Thanks for watching.